Yes. Next one. He's only this was only a small appointment at the time. I might have given the game away there. He had a win ratio. He was there from 91 to 98. He had a win ratio of over 40% in 188 games. He came from Darlington. I think he got flew in by a helicopter, didn't he? I can't remember the chairman. He was the Weetabix chairman. I can't remember his name.
Not Martin George.
That's it. I think he flew in on his flew in on his second. Other than Brian Little is number 5 on the list.
I'll tell you what, Brian Little is, because we had the doldrums, Jamie, of like I can't remember who the managers were before Brian Little, because it was pretty bleak times before Brian Little arrived.
David Pleat and then Gordon Lee for half a season.
Yeah, it was well remembered. I'm glad. I think I blanked it out. The David Pleat era, I can remember it. It was bad, but and to be fair, from Jock Wallace up until Brian Little, there was nothing. It was a bit of a mixed bag. But Brian Little, his book famously, his autobiography is famously entitled "Starting the Wave." And we had a chat with him. Again, people can check out one of the other videos. We had a great chat with Brian Little in one of our ex-player manager videos, which are on the YouTube channel. He's a great guy, Jamie.
He was fantastic. I saw that. I watched that with when you did it, and I thought that was absolutely brilliant. I mean, you think the situation when he came, Tony James had scored the goal to keep us up from the 3rd division.
Yeah.
Not the last minute, but I can't remember when the goal was scored against Oxford. And then he came in that
51st
summer.
51st minute, I'm going to say.
Something like that. And the crowd went bonkers. It hadn't been for Tony James, would we have had Brian Little? Would we be where we are now? Yeah. Where would we have been? Brian Little came in, changed it.
Well, one of the stories he talked us through, which I found so interesting, he was such a great chat. People must watch that video if they get the chance. He talked us through the 94 playoff final, which was obviously the silence of the Lambs, or the Rams as we call it, where he put Steve Walsh, who'd been injured for weeks, months before, and he shoved him on as a striker up front. And he admitted in our interview, he said, I was at that point where I thought, we've got to get promoted. But we'd obviously failed for a couple of seasons before against Blackburn and Swindon. And he was just like, he felt like he was at the casino. It was just a throw of the dice. Shove Walsh up top. If we win, he says we get promoted. He said if we lose, I think I'll lose my job. He was that honest about it, and said
it was true. I mean, it wasn't the best of games, was it? It was wasn't brilliant the game, but it was glad just to get promoted against. I remember being in the Olympic Gallery and watching that derby game, and I was literally crying. And my mate said to me, "Come on, at the end of the game, come on, enjoy it." And I went, "I am enjoying it. I think Brian Little, even though I was sitting there roaring my eyes out, Brian Little was at that time probably one of the best managers we've ever had at that time. I would have thought, for what he did, 3 Premiership, 3 playoff finals, get us promoted on the 3rd one. I know he left a bit under a cloud, but he changed the club about. He changed the club awfully, didn't he? He made a lot of changes and
he did
us proud for that time. Yes, we were very much of not even a yo-yo club then, were we? We were in the doldrums, like you said. To be honest, didn't know whether we were going up or down or anything, did we?
Like you say, that sequence of playoff defeats, to be fair, in a way, looking back, to lose against Blackburn, to lose against Swindon, and then to have the sweet taste of success against Derby and went on to Palace. I mean, that Brian Little era was fantastic. That's typical Leicester fan, isn't it? Roller coaster. And he is one of my favourite managers, definitely.
Oh, yeah, he loves, we definitely love our roller coaster of being a Leicester fan, don't we? That's for certain. Up and down. Big ups, big downs, but we love it, don't we? We love it. Right, shall we move on to number 4 now? Any ideas who number 4 might be, Phil? Shall I have it?
Well, we've got to be starting to get
leave it a bit longer.
Well, there's got to be there's some big names not in there. So we just to recap, we've got SVEN at 9, we've got Mickey Adams at 8, we've got Jimmy Bloomfield at 7, Jock at 6, Brian Little at 5.
And now we're at
the top
4
5.
now.
So we're into 4. Go on
now, the top 4 were really close. There was only 2 or 3 votes in it from 4th to 1st, so that's how close it was. Number 4 is none other than. He's got a 55% win record already in 100 games.
Come on! I don't know who's.
It's Brendan
Rodgers. Yeah, fair enough.
Current manager.
Fair enough.
Current manager. 55. He's actually got the top win ratio of any of the managers so far that we've got. So out of 100 games, he's won 55. Well, it's easy. It's 55 games he's won already.
So he's
even my maths to know that.
Brendan Rodgers is 4th. Now
he's number 4.
I know, Jamie.
Go on.
God, I was going to say there'll be people watching this going, Brendan Rodgers is number one, and I think I can see why people would be starting to say that. I think, Jamie, for me, fourth, maybe a tad higher. I don't know. We'll see who comes in 3, 2, and 1. But listen, it's 2021, and we're making this video. We'll look back on this video maybe in 1 or 2 years' time, and Brendan may well end up being. I hope he ends up being number one manager, Jamie. But he isn't there yet.
I think he will be. If he wins something this year or next year, then yes, I think that pushes him up to the higher echelons of this table. But at the minute, I mean, everyone knows I've had a bit of a up and down with Brendan Rodgers, but I think he's growing on me more now. He's we're playing that foot. Yes, I'm beginning. Yeah, he's going up on my table now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Brendan Rodgers is growing on me slightly. The football's getting better. I can see what he's trying to do with the football. It's not just complete counter attack like a lot of the media think. It's playing that football. He's breaking sides down. So yeah. Brendan Rodgers is at number 4. I mean, who would have thought he came from Celtic, though, Phil, at that time? He was doing well. He was on easy street at Celtic, or whether he just wanted a different challenge, to be honest. Yeah. Whether he wanted a bit more of a challenge than just being at Celtic and winning everything. It's shown since he's left, they've done nothing, have they? They've done nothing.
No, although Rangers have come good. Listen, I think this is a good point to remind people, if you're watching this, do you agree with what the fans and what me and Jamie are saying? Do you think Brendan Rodgers should be higher up than the 4th highest ever ultimate Leicester City manager? If you do agree or disagree, please put it in the comments and we'll react to those as well, and we'll check it out. But Brendan's in 4th, Jamie. So who's better than Brendan?
Who's 3rd? Who's better than Brendan? Remember, everyone, this was voted by the fans. Yeah. Nobody on the Leicester Fan TV has done this at all. It's all the fans' work, this is. Number 3 is he came from Southampton. He also came from Hull. He had a 48%. He had a 48% win ratio over the 289 games he was in charge, which is none other than Big Nigel Pearson is number 3.
What a photo of Nigel Pearson!
What a photo! Yes, that sums him down. You wouldn't mess with him, would you? You would not mess with him at all.
He's a great guy. Pearson.
Yeah, Nigel actually had out of the top 9 people, he actually managed the most games at 289. He managed, and he had a win ratio over the two times 48%.
So Nigel Pearson's in 3rd place. I mean, I can't stop laughing at that photo because that sort of sums him up. Again, in the comments, let us know if you agree with that. Should Pearson have been number 1, wherever? But listen, for me, and I know I know Claudio's not come out yet, so we're going to get onto this debate. But obviously, Nigel Pearson, he was back at the club, like you say, before SVEN. So he had 2 patches. He was a bit Marmite for some fans. He obviously fell out with local media quite famously as well. I think the fans like Pearson because he was no nonsense, and he was sort of, he could be gruff. I don't know if he fell out with players at times or what went on, but, he obviously had a massive impact on Leicester winning the Premier League, Jamie. And we're going to come on to that debate, I know.
Yeah. It was definitely Marmite, wasn't it? You either loved him or you hated him. Now, I hate Marmite, but I love Nigel Pearson. So there you go. But if it wasn't for him, that great escape, it would have never happened, would it? That great escape would have never happened. A lot of people might think, well, it was Cambiasso, but Cambiasso took a long time to get involved in it, didn't he? But for me, Nigel Pearson has to be in that top 3 because of how when he came back into the team, to manage the side, he got us to the playoffs this first season, and then he got us to winning the championship the next season. Then he had the great escape the following season, and then I know he wasn't there for the winning the league, but I do think a lot of his team he signed Ozazaki, he signed Christian Fuchs, even though they never played under him or he never got one training session under him. He brought them 2 players in, so he had a lot to do with that Premiership winning team. So Nigel Pearson is number 3, voted by the fans. Let's not forget that. This is all voted by you fans out there.
The fans have spoken. I think I'm sort of agreeing with all this so far, fairly well agreeing. Because I know. Obviously, I don't know who's going to win this or where it's going to go, but I do know which managers are left, and I do rate both of them higher than Nigel Pearson. But he was a top manager for us, Nigel Pearson, as was Brian Little. So, Jamie, this is the bit I'm waiting for because there's a 2 and a 1 here, and I know who's my 1. Yeah. And it's a tough choice. It's like picking
this was done. This is 2 votes difference. 2 votes. That's all it was. That's how close it was. After hundreds and hundreds of votes, 2 votes we had. It was untrue. Number 2, with a win ratio of 40%. He came from Norwich in 1995 and left in 2000. He managed 222 games. It's none other than God himself, Martin O'Neill, who would never have to pay for a beer in my bar ever if he came in. If Martin O'Neill came into my bar, he would never have. I wouldn't know what to say to him. I would not know what to say to him.
3 beers for Martin O'Neill in the Fox's Arms, Alcudia for life. Jamie said it.
If he came in, he would not buy 1 drink ever. That's how. That's
how highly.
That's how much I rate him. Yeah.
I mean, we obviously most Leicester fans of certainly of an age who were there watching Martin O'Neill. We just refer to him as God. That's what we used to call him, wasn't it? God, Mon.
Yeah,
you know,
God,
the top.
God, Martin O'Neill. God.
Top.
It's unbelievable.
Just again,
unbelievable.
Took us. Well, what I mean, I'm trying to remember. Obviously, we had playoff win with Martin O'Neill. Was the
Sorry, that's the tractor just going past the house. Sorry, that's the tractor just going past the house. Sorry.
That's fine. He got us promoted, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, he got us promoted after being first 9 games without winning it, and everyone wanted him to sack. And apart from that, then it all went through ahead on the Sheffield United game, was it? I can't remember the date. Sometime in March.
Yeah,
I remember. We lost 2-0 at home.
Yeah.
Then we got to the playoffs, beat Crystal Palace in the playoffs.
Yeah.
After Muzzier scored against Watford in the last game to get us into the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then we won the League Cup the first year back in the Premiership. Then we lost
Europe,
the next year.
Obviously. We got into Europe. We got obviously that was Atletico Madrid away in Marshall. Marshy scoring away. You know, these were the heady days, weren't they? We've never had it that good.
And then we lost to Spurs, didn't we, in the final? And then we beat Tranmere the following year. And then unfortunately, he left, didn't he? At the end of that season, he left, which was a bit of a shame. But we had 5 really good years with Martin O'Neill, which brought us near enough. It was really like a small club, wasn't it? Someone stepping on the big boys' toes, coming up and winning 2 trophies in 3 years. 2 trophies in 4 years, and then getting to Europe twice, and that it was something that we'd never even expected, because I never expected to go to Wembley at all watching Leicester. And then we had the playoff finals, and then I thought, it'd be nice to get to a final, and then we got to the final.
We got to final 3 times, don't forget, because we did lose to Spurs as well. So it was 3 out of 4 League Cup finals, wasn't it? I think. Yeah,
something like it. Did really well for the team that we had: Lennon, Savage, Taylor, Parker, Marshall, Heskey, Walsh, Elliott. There was just the names ring off your tongue, even if you're not old enough to remember them. You seem to know them, don't you? And it's the way he bought. I don't know what do you call it. Also, you're not also runs, but they weren't like popular with players, were they? And stuff like that. And he brought them in, and he made them into quality players. Who would have thought Robbie Savage would have won anything?
I think Martin O'Neill did a very similar role to what Nigel Pearson did, as in they pulled in players, like you say, not has-beens but I think he pulled in players who thought, you've got something, but you've not quite done it there, and he blended lads together and said, come on, don't listen to what anybody else is saying. You can do this. I like you, and I think Pearson was similar, and I think Martin O'Neill. I mean, when we've chatted again, some of the other videos when we've chatted with ex-players who played under Martin O'Neill, Jamie, again he was a very interesting character on the training ground. Some people he shunned. Often he wasn't on the training ground. Other people he put an arm round, but he knew, manager, a bit like Kevin Keegan, Brian Clough.
Yeah.
He knew how to work with a player and get the best out of that player.
Well, Martin O'Neill, didn't used to take any of the training. He used to leave that to John Robinson and Steve Walford. And then on a Friday, he used to come and do a few tactical set plays and stuff like that, and then take all the glory for it. It was hardly him that did in the job. I think it was his man management skills that did it for him.
Yeah, I think he was the guy in the changing rooms on match day giving the speeches, and either by doing nothing or doing something, got the best out of players, knew how to do it.
He certainly did. So we've moved on from Martin O'Neill, Phil. I think everyone knows who it's going to be, really. It's none other than, number one, there's no guessing, is that everyone knows who it is. It's Claudio Ranieri. No introduction needed. He had 81 games. He was only here for a season and a half. He had a 44% record win percentage, and he came from Greece. And Gary Lineker says, what did he say? Oh, that's the most. I can't remember the tweet he put out when he signed. When
not
it
very
was
impressed,
now.
was he?
Yeah, the most unbelievable sight or something.
Yeah.
It wasn't the most impressed with that. Look how it changed. He had to wear his pants at the end, old Gary Lineker. That soon backfired on it. Yeah, they're on his face there. But Claudio Ranieri, 81 games, that's all he had. It was unbelievable year. That first season, who would have thought it, Phil? Who would have thought it?
I mean,
such a manager.
I didn't know the results of this, so that was literally live. I'm so pleased because he would have been my number one ultimate manager. For me, Jamie, I love Martin O'Neill, I love Brian Little, I love Nigel Pearson. These are the managers. But Claudio Ranieri, you can't, if you're going to pick a manager, you've got to pick the guy who's delivered the dream of all dreams, the 5,000 to 1. It's no, for me, there is no argument. And if I was waiting to see if the fans had gone for either Martin O'Neill or Nigel Pearson or somebody just to see, because I'd have disagreed. It had to be Claudio for me.
Yeah,
Jamie,
Claudio.
Did you agree?
Yeah, had to be Claudio. My top three was how it is: Pearson, Martin O'Neill, and Claudio. They were my top three. They were my top three. So
top three.
It's all good though, isn't it?
And then fourth, who was fourth again? Just remind me. Fourth
Brendan Rodgers was fourth.
Brendan, and then Brian Little fifth. My jury would be slightly out on that at the moment, whether Brian Little, because he did. Brendan's got to deliver, and I think he will. And I think then he should be fourth. But Brian Little did deliver. I suppose you could argue at a lower level. I don't know.
My personal top five was Wallace, Little, Pearson, O'Neill, Ranieri. Rodgers wouldn't have been in it yet. I grew up on Jock Wallace, didn't I? I grew up on Jock. I couldn't miss out Big Jock. My dad introduced me to him a couple of times. I couldn't not miss it out, could I?
I think Rodgers does make my top five, and I think fourth, I'm sort of happy with where the fans have put him in there. I'm certainly happy with Pearson at third and Martin O'Neill and Ranieri. It has to be Ranieri. It just has to be. I mean, we talked. Pearson built that team. Ranieri polished it, and Ranieri got it there. I don't think Pearson would have won the league with that team. I just don't. There would have been an implosion somewhere.
When Ranieri came in, wasn't it? He was the tinker man. By the time he left, he was the thinker man when we won the league. So everyone thought he was going to make all these changes and that, but he didn't. He made less changes than that. I think he only made 26 changes to his team over the whole season. So I totally understand where Claudio, and the word that Gary Lineker used was uninspiring. It's just come to me as I've thought about it. Gary Lineker used the word the most uninspiring signing ever, but that soon backfired on him, didn't it?
It's probably the most inspiring in the end.
Yeah, it was, isn't it? But you can't go wrong. Claudio Ranieri with the votes, top of the list, has to be.
Let's just go. Let's do a rundown then. In your best ever Fluff Freeman top 10, then, although it's number 9. Start with number 9, then, Jamie.
Number 9 was SVEN Eriksson.
I need it more 8. top of the popsy, Jamie. Come on, full on top of the pops.
In at number 9 in the ultimate team list is SVEN Eriksson. In at number 8, Mickey Adams. In at number 7, old school Jimmy Bloomfield. In at number 6, a bit of up north over Hadrian's Wall, but Jock Wallace. Bit of Brian Little sneaks in at number 5, making the list with a late entry. Brendan Rodgers at number 4. Big Nigel Pearson, the comeback king, in at number 3. Martin O'Neill, God, number 2. And even bigger than God, if there is a bigger than God, making the top of the pops, top of the list, top of the ultimate, Claudio Ranieri.
Excellent. There you go, Jamie. You did. That was great. I know, I'll put you on the spot. People think we plan these videos out. We don't. We just press record and we just go for it, don't we, Jamie?
It's all off the cuff, even though I've got no cuffs on.
Well done. With your Fluff Freeman style, top of the pops. Ultimate team countdown. Now, thanks so much, Jake. Jamie's organised that. He's got all the fans' views in. I think we're going to move on maybe next week and do the worst ever manager or something, spin it on its head. But today, that's been great. We want to know what you guys think to that. Do you agree with the managers that have been picked? Do you agree with the order they're in? Would you have had Claudio at number 1? Would you have put Brendan in higher? Would you have put Martin O'Neill at number 1? I want to know as many fans' comments. Do you agree with what we have just ran through here or not? Jamie, thanks so much for joining us on what looks like a very sunny day in Fox's Arms, Alcudia.
I think I might go and have a couple of beers now. to relax and chill out after sorting that out.
I don't blame you. Listen, don't forget, wherever you're watching, follow us on Leicester Fan TV. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Make sure you follow our socials. Jamie does a show every Sunday at 10 o'clock. I do one every Monday, and Lox does one every Friday. So we're on 3 times a week, as well as the watch-alongs. Jamie, thanks so much for joining us.
You're welcome. Cheers, everyone. Thanks for voting. And just remember, it's the fans that voted this. We had nothing to do with it. It was the fans. But please get your comments in and likes and shares. It'd be much appreciated. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you on the next video. Cheers.